I'd like to start by answering some of your questions that you had.
Is that better?
But maybe I'll be answering it as I introduce myself to you. I'm Billy Chang, and I run a small technology company called MicroConsultants. So there's no accident that we're micro-consultants. We're a lot of little, we're small. But it doesn't really mean we're a lot of little tiny consultants.
Does the stand not go back?
No, it doesn't.
Big.
It's supposed to be like a laptop.
Yeah.
Micro, anyway.
So do you want?
So
hold it?
MicroConsultants has been
Yeah,
around
okay.
since 1984. And many of you may already know all about MicroConsultants by going online and checking about us. But MicroConsultants is a small technology company that got started in 1984 when what significant event occurred in 1984 in technology? Some of you know that? Don't
We
try
didn't
too
really
much.
talk about history.
1984 was a long time ago, I understand that. But 1984 was when the Apple Macintosh was first introduced. Have any of you seen that commercial? They keep playing a lot on TV. It's the original Super Bowl commercial put on by Apple in 1984. And it's about this girl who is rushing into a room full of almost zombie type people watching a movie or video in that auditorium. And she comes with her hammer and she swings it into the screen, and it explodes in a flash of light. And the subtitle of that was 1984, or it's an Apple computer, there's an Apple symbol. And subtitle was 1984 will no longer be 1984. How many of you know about the story about 1984? Okay, never mind.
Honestly, that's also
That's too old
the
enough.
year before I was
You
born.
don't even remember it.
Yeah. so-
Never mind. Anyway, that's how that came from. The reason I got into that business in 1984 was personal computers, if you can believe it, didn't exist until 1978 when the Apple II computer was first introduced. 1978. That's a long time ago to you. To me, it was like yesterday. Okay? And the reason is because personal computers were just being brought in, and especially in 1984 when the Macintosh came out, everybody would ask me when I bought my first Macintosh, why do you need a computer? You're not a big company. You just, you don't have a big corporate need for it. Because in those days, computers took up multiple rooms. One computer took up a huge floor space and had to be specially configured, and it had to be wired, and it had to be air conditioned and all that kind of stuff. And that's when the personal computer was first introduced. And we had a lot of people asking the question about personal computers then, and yet I was that interested in computers and decided to open up the business to sell and support and service Macintoshes. And it was well worth it, because it was more of a missionary project or a more of a educational project, teaching people what they could do with a computer. And the reason the computer became a big deal at that time as a personal tool was because computers, somebody wrote some software, and it was called VisiCalc. VisiCalc is a precursor to Excel. How many you know about Excel? It's a spreadsheet, right? And now everybody copies that, and you have different kinds of spreadsheets, but they all follow the same concept of having formulas in certain cells and using those formulas to refer to other cells and create special results of the calculations. But that became the first usable personal feature of a computer. Now, are you getting the idea though? At that time, even in the beginning of personal computers, it required good software. Even though you had hardware that had a lot of capabilities, you had to have software to make that happen. The same is occurring, same is the case today, and believe it or not, now that we're moving into other technologies, including something that's like 10 times the capability of a computer that took us to the moon, you have to have software. I have like 3,000 apps on this phone now. The problem is, the hardware part of it is there isn't enough room on a phone to carry all the software that exists. You can go to the Apple App Store, and millions of software are available depending on, and they're all, some of them are good, some of them are bad. But that's what determines the value of any device, a computer, iPhone, and switching over 3D printers. 3D printers are distinguished from each other. Oh yes, by the way, I do have a middle name. Who asked that question?
Somebody asked them. It's okay, don't worry. I put all the question in the back just in case you need it.
Oh yeah, okay. I have it right here.
Perfect.
But my middle name is Lincoln. My parents named me after Abraham Lincoln and Billy, not Graham, but Sunday. Billy Sunday was a precursor to Billy Graham. He was an evangelist, and the reason they named me after Billy Sunday is because they were converted to Christianity by missionaries in China. So that's where that middle name thing came from, I think. And they loved Lincoln because he freed a lot of people and gave them a lot of freedom and fought to make sure that the Union stayed intact. Okay, so I wanted to move over in terms of technology. We cover everything. MicroConsultants covers everything in technology, including iPhones, and iPads, and computers of all types, not just Macs, but Windows software, Unix, whatever you happen to be interested in, we work on that. And I am very passionate about technology as an older person. I'm much older than you. You think of probably of technology as just a way of life. But I have seen the development of technology from no technology to all sorts of diverse applications of technology of different kinds. So my focus today and throughout my business day is in technology in the 3D realm, but it doesn't mean I don't or I can't be involved in computers and mobile devices and other technology. I just came back from CES. How many of you know about CES? Nobody knows about it. Computer Electronics Show. It's the largest show in Las Vegas. Maybe almost 200,000 people attend this show and I walk about 30 miles show because it takes place in multiple places in town, including the Sands Hotel and the Convention Center and all the different kinds of hotels out there, Circus. And it involves all technology. And we take part in most of what is being shown there, was being shown there. The big news in CES was 8K TV. How many of you know about 8K TV? How many of you know about 4K TV? Okay. Yeah, everyone knows about 4K TV. I'm just getting used to 4K TV. Now they're coming out with 8K TV. The big question is, can you really tell the difference between 4K and 8K? Some people claim you can, side by side. And a lot of people say, your eyes can't see 8K. It is, it is that good. But it was fun. We had a great time there. But just to let you know that, we take part in all technology. Any questions you might have, or any ideas you might have that involves other technology besides 3D printing or computers, I'm here to answer them if you have. If I have.
Mr. Billy Chan is willing to come in with the computer science, the Student Geek Squad Club to help out with what we're doing in terms of 3D printing. So if you really are interested, he will be coming in to join us soon.
Yeah, and we'll be doing. We'll be doing. Do you want to do that?
Yes.
You want to?
I would love to collaborate.
Okay. We can do that together now and get the computer going with the right software. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for it to download.
Oh, it is downloaded.
It is downloaded? Okay.
It's downloaded. We just need an example. So one of you guys, if you have your chess piece ready to print, just raise your hand and I'll work with you after I deal with all the drawings.
Okay. Let me answer the other questions
Yes.
while we're doing that. The real question that I noticed you're asking really is, how did you develop your career? What are the reasons behind your career choices? And how did you start your business? I kind of touched on how I started the business. But how my career developed will be very different from any one of you as you develop your life. Because number one, it's kind of like a holistic process, right? Because there's a lot of factors that you're going to end up taking into account, making your decisions, your career choices. And the interesting thing is I hear, and I think it's true because it happened to me, you're going to change your career or your job where you do your work at least 3 or 4 times in your lifetime. And that's all part of the development process. But here's how it happened with me. When I was a kid, I started out being very interested in working with people. And as a teenager, 16 or 17, I became the youngest manager of Griffith Park concession stands. So I managed all those. How many of you have been to Griffith Park? It's a big park, right? Well, I managed all the stands at 16 in the zoo, the observatory, Travel Town, all those other places. And I had a lot of fun doing that. And I thought that was really what I wanted to do. And then I got inspired because I got a job as a young man. I think I was in my 20s. I got a job at a hospital. That's how my interest in medicine occurred.
About 30 minutes left.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you keep track on.
You're ready. You're ready to go,
Not
right?
yet.
Okay. I got a job in the hospital, and I ended up getting interested in medicine and applied to medical school. And I got into medical school, Baylor Med School. But I was working at LA County General, and because it was a very busy, active school, I got turned off to the concept of working 72 hours at a time. Some of these doctors had to work on. I said, I don't think I want to do this. I didn't know that you could be a pathologist and all the pathologists' patients are dead, you know. And or you could be a OBGYN. Well, that's not so much fun either. But anyway, I really wanted to spend time with family and everything, so I decided to switch over to bioengineering. So that's how I got into zoology, to answer your question. And bioengineering was my main interest at that time, which then got me into computers, because in bioengineering at LA County Hospital, there was a USC grant that I worked in. It was the largest grant at the time, which used an IBM 360. Again, you probably don't know what that is, but it's one of those big computers that took up whole rooms. And we used an IBM 360 to monitor one critically ill patient. But there's where we invented all these, invent is the right name, the right term. We invented all those monitoring devices like sensors and tubes and things to keep patients alive and to help them get better. Okay, so that's how I got into computers. And then computers into technology, as we no longer are talking about 3D printing versus computers. We talk about technology in general. So that's how that happened. What is the biggest problem in starting a business? Biggest problem is cash flow. Making sure you have enough money to start with, to work with, and making sure that you generate enough revenue to keep the business growing. So that's the best I can tell you about that. What am I looking for in employees? I'm also looking for the same thing in our students that come and spend time in our shop. Well, I'm looking for a good work ethic, the concept of working hard to learn as much as possible in as little time as possible, so that you can make progress for yourself. I guess I'm looking for ambition. Okay, so shall we start talking about the printing process?
Go for it. He's.
Are you installed? I'll do a quick introduction of the printing process.
You guys, you're welcome to get closer so you can see.
You're welcome to. Oh, by the way, there's.
And if you need to jot down notes, jot down notes.
Yes, sir. Do you need a second? Either one will work. And what you do is you make sure you get it into the computer somehow.
Yeah.
I guess a thumb drive, right?
Thumb drive right now.
And then the computer will determine how to prepare it for the printer.
Go closer. Guys, you guys, welcome to get up
Yeah,
and
welcome
walk.
to get up.
Yeah, and if you need to push.
Not the Android.
Did battery fall out?
It's okay. Can you push the desk back so that way?
Yeah, you can just crowd around. Just don't hurt. Okay.
Don't
So,
hurt yourself and.
don't hurt yourself. So, let's start with the samples that we have here, okay? So that we can get a good orientation. Every single one of these samples that we have were printed on this device. This device. Okay? Now, the quality is determined by which device you are using. There are industrial grade printers that will do much better quality than this, but this is a great printer and it will do everything here, including this large Eiffel Tower. How did I do that? Doesn't fit in there. Well, we did it in parts. For instance, there are 4 legs, and then there's 4 more legs that fits on top of the first 4, and then a piece here, and a piece here, and a piece here. So it's multiple pieces that got printed. But I think it turned out well, and it can be better. I have another printer in the car that can probably do much better quality than that. Oh, this is the only exception. This was not printed on this device. This was printed on one of the newer printers that we have now that are what I consider to be industrial grade, high precision, and beautiful quality. You'll see the difference when you come look at it. But the rest of it, including this piece, this is fabric, right? There's fashion people, fashion designers that print this kind of chain mail. It's called chain mail, and they stitch it together or print large versions of it, and they use it to make clothing. Okay, but this one was printed there. Okay, now, of course, this is something that was printed in wood. This is you can tell by in the bottom here. You can drill it, you can sand it, you can actually treat it like any other wood thing. You can stain it. Okay, this is who's this? Groot. Yeah. I have a Groot. Oh, this is a part of the Groot that don't touch the red button.
Oh yeah.
He's going. I have another one, which is, how many of you have Apple Watches or know about Apple Watches?
Your Apple Watch, dog.
Oh. Yeah.
So you can take, this is what this is. It looks like Thing, which it is. How many of you know about Thing?
Yeah.
Okay, Thing, the Addams Family. This is where you put the charger, the magnetic charger. Fits in here, and you stick this on it magnetically, holds it, and it charges it. But I have another one, which is this guy here, getting ready to push the button, and it sits in front of it. Anyway, those are kind of fun things to do. But the quality is pretty good on this machine, and you can actually print this on this 3D printer. And of course, I don't know, there's a globe. Here is this is an iPad, or maybe even an iPhone XS, a XS Max holder. And this is also one, but this is probably too small for this. Fits in your car holder. I wanted to show you this because this is how you can actually have a very, very complex project entirely printed on a 3D printer. This is a Black Forest clock, which I haven't put together yet. But the hardest work is putting it together. But it has even springs printed on the 3D printer. But it has a lot of gears, handles, and things like that. Anyway, thought I'd show you about that. All right, so did you install the?
Yeah, I was able to pull up another
Oh,
project.
good, you got it going.
I wasn't able to find yours, but I found my other students' project to
Okay.
see off.
You want to just use that as an example?
Yeah,
Sure. Okay.
But I don't know what I'm doing, and I think it's just downloading stuff on here. Downloading software updates. So I don't know if you can.
Download software update. Why don't we cancel it?
You're just clicking off,
We'll
right?
update later.
Yeah.
I would
Let's
never
go
do
back
such
to
a
your
thing,
seats
John.
if you want, and that way you can see the screen a lot better.
Oh, that's a nice one. Who invented this?
It's one of my math students. I also made the math students do.
That's very nice. Very
Even
nice.
was cooler.
Okay, so what we're gonna do.
Do you mind if I pass this out to them so they can?
Sure. Sure, you can pass it around, you may touch, you may feel.
Make sure all the pieces of his claw comes back.
Oh, don't take any of pieces out of that thing.
Put him down.
Get the max out real quick.
Okay, so what we need to do is we need to select this printer, this thing. See,
Guys, watch. Still
This
two.
this application has, you can have multiple, build plates. So you can have this with a build plate here, but you can add another item on another build plate, and you can print individual build plates as you see fit. Okay, so this is already selected, we already have this build plate, and then we have to first, we have to add a printer. So we don't,
Yes.
the name of this printer is a, 5th generation MakerBot replicator. So we're gonna add an unconnected printer because we're not on the network. And what we want is replicator 2, 5th generation, right there. So you only have to do this once, okay? And then you wanna export it, because you're gonna export into your thumb drive. So once you've selected this replicator, then you can click on this, and there's a little screw here,
Yeah. Ear button.
here, and it has a Smarty Shooter Plus, I think, let me double check. Does it have a Smarty Shooter Plus? Oh, falling apart. Yes, it's Smarty Shooter Plus.
It's okay, we can fix it. And that's what engineering is about. You take it apart, you put it back together.
Yeah. It's all about pattern recognition.
Yes. And that is the essence of mathematics as well.
Right.
Don't worry, we can fix that.
This has a magnetic thing on it, so it's really easy to just take off.
Okay, now I know how to at least take it out. And is that enough filaments?
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I don't know. Okay.
I have more filaments in here.
Oh, good. Glad.
Got.
So, but let me finish showing
Here,
this.
let me fix it.
I'll come back and do this. All right, so this allows you to determine all the settings. And one of the good news about this machine is that you don't really have to change settings that much for the simple product, a simple model. Okay. Support means that you need, see, as you know, 3D printing is you're putting layer upon layer of plastic on top of each other. And the problem in some cases is you have overhang, like a roof or a bridge, okay? And it's not gonna be able to print on air. So you have to put supports under, artificial or temporary supports to give it something to print on. We don't need that, so.
Do you guys remember that was the issue that we talked about when Ms. Koo printed out her, what is this? Snorlax, right? If you look at her chubby hands, right, it can't print in mid-air, so you want to make sure that you're listening to Mr. Billy Chang, what he has to share with you.
Okay, now where do I export this to? Do you have a local
Yeah, it's
thumb drive?
called-
Okay, got it. All right. Network directory, okay? Okay, so we're gonna say save.
Okay, if it came around, can you make sure that it comes back on the counter, so that way, Mr. Billy Chang can take it back? And we'll print ours, so that way you can have yours to show off, okay?
Export, save. Why is it not saved? Oh, there we go. Maybe it won't be this one.
So let's just create a folder and just call that
Oh, that's right. That. Yeah. Okay, now, go ahead and take that out.
Can I just start?
Yeah, we can at least start it. Now, while that's happening, I'll
Okay. Guys,
load the
attention.
filament. Think
We
about
need
the
to
filament.
we have only two colors. These were the cheapest that we could buy. Because all the other ones were very expensive.
Well, you should let me know, I can get really cheap stuff. Oh, Hatchbox is more expensive. Okay, so,
Yeah.
that's fine. This is good enough. Now. So we want to make sure that the filament is loaded in there, so we switch it to filament. We'll give you more, more instruction later on in another session. I just want to get this thing started. Oh, yeah. As soon as you get it on that thumb
It's gonna
drive.
take an hour and 54 minutes to
But
print.
you can see it work.
So, by 3-something PM this afternoon, if we print it out right now,
Is that before you go home?
it's after, so we'll see you next week. If you wanna stay, you're welcome to stay, I'm staying until the basketball game tonight, so.
Oh, really? There's a
Yeah.
basketball game? All right.
Yeah, there's our basketball team captain right there.
You're not a captain.
No?
I'm just a scorer.
You just got,
Oh, okay.
did you get a promotion or?
Mascot?
Okay, I don't need to load it, I just go through print.
Okay,
So I'm gonna go to
put it
print.
back down?
Yeah, put it back down, that's good. I wanted